We're now going to explain the Gemara on Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Bet. Makom shenahagu levarech yevarech. The Gemara starts off by quoting the halacha in the Mishnah that says that in a place where the minhag is to say a beracha, you say a beracha. And when the minhag is not to say a beracha, you may choose not to say a beracha. Amar Abaye. Abaye said, Lo shanu el lachareh, aval lefanea mitzvah levarech. The Mishnah taught only after the Megila. Only after the Megila are you allowed to choose if you want to say the beracha or not. But the beracha before you must say. Dama Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shemuel, because Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Shemuel. Kol mitzvot kulan mevarech alehen over la'asiyatan. All of the mitzvot, one recites a beracha over them prior to their performance. In other words, you must make a beracha before you do a mitzvah. Anytime you do a mitzvah, you have to make a beracha before you do a mitzvah. So too in Megillah, anytime you read the Megillah, you must say a beracha before you read the Megillah. Therefore, when the Mishnah said that you can choose to say a beracha, it means only the last beracha, after you read the Megillah. Because we know that before you do mitzvah, like reading the Megillah, which is a mitzvah, you must say the beracha. So my mashma, the Gemara asks, how do we know? How is it implied the hai over lishna dakdumehu, that the word over is an expression meaning prior? In other words, we want to establish for a fact that when Shemuel said all the mitzvot, you have to say beracha over la'asiyatan, that over means prior to the mitzvah and not after the mitzvah. So the Gemara is asking, how do we know over means that? So we're going to bring now two different answers, altogether 3 pesukim. First, we have Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. We have Rav Nachman, and it says in the name of his father, the son of Yitzchak. Amar Kra, because the pasuk says, Vayarotz Achimaat derech hakikar, vayavol et hakushi. We have a first pasuk that says, then Achimaat, who was a general, ran by the way of the plain, and he preceded the Kushit. So now we see that vayavor means preceded, prior. So we now have a proof that over la'asiyatan, when Shmuel said over la'asiyatan, he means prior to the mitzvah. Abaye Amar, Abaye, he gives a different answer. He brings it from different pasuk. Me'acha, from here. V'hu over lifnehem. The pasuk says, and he passed before them. So again, we see over means before. V'i bat ema mi'acha. And if you prefer, say from here. V'yavo malkam lifnehem ve'Hashem berosham. And their king passes on before them, and God, or Hashem, is at the head of them. Again, you see v'yavor means he passes on before them. So again, we see from here that the word v'yavo means before. Now the Gemara, after we finished establishing the fact that the halacha that says anytime the custom is to not say, you can choose not to say, it's only talking about the last beracha. But the first beracha, there's an obligation to say. Because like any mitzvah that you do, there's always an obligation to say a beracha before you do the mitzvah. So the Gemara goes off to another question. It wants to know, Lefanea mai mevarech. Before you do the mitzvah, what is the beracha you're going to say? Because before you do the mitzvah of Mikra Megillah, we have berachot that we say. So what do we say? So, Rav Sheshet Mekat Razaya, Rav Sheshet, who was a rabbi that came from the city of Katrazaya, Ikla Lekame de Rav Ashi. He happened to come before Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi was the author of our Gemara. Rav Ashi together with Ravina, they wrote the whole Gemara. Everything, all the Shas, is written by Rav Ashi and Ravina. So we're now bringing a story that happened to take place with Rav Ashi. and it says that Rav Sheshet came in front of Rav Ashi, Uvarich Manach, and he said Manach. What's Manach mean? Manach is an acronym for 3 berachot. The Mem stands for Mikra Megila. You say Baracha, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam Asher Kiddushan V'Mitzvah V'Tzvanu Al Mikra Megila. The Nun is for She'asa Nisim La'avotenu B'yamim Ha'am B'Zaman Hazeh, and the Chet is for the Baracha of She'achiyanu V'Kimanu V'Higanu L'Zman Hazeh. In other words, the Baracha is bringing the story to tell us that we say 3 Barachot, not 1. There's 3 Barachot you say on the Megillah. Mikra Megillah, She'asa Nisim, and She'achiyanu. Now the Gemara asks the obvious question, La'acharei mai mevarech. After you read the Megillah, what do you say? Now, side point, we just said before that this last beracha, if the area, the community that you're in, the custom is not to say the beracha, you can choose not to say it. It's referring to this beracha. So what do you say after you finish reading the Megillah? Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam Hayal Harav et Rivenu V'adan et Dinenu V'anokem et Nikmatenu V'anifra Lanu Mitzarenu V'amishalem Gemul L'chol Oivei Nafshenu Baruch Ata Hashem Hanifra LeYisrael Mikol Tzarehem. I'll explain it in English, but it's not necessary that you know the exact words. Basically it says, Blessed are you Hashem, our God, King of the universe, the God who takes up our grievance, and who judges our claim, and who avenges our vengeance, and who exacts vengeance on us from our foes, and who brings just retribution upon all enemies of our soul. Blessed are you, Hashem, who exacts revengeance for Israel from all their foes. If I ask you, what beracha do you end after you Megillah? It's enough to say, Harav et Rivenu. The first 3 words of the beracha. Harav et Rivenu. Over here you see, Harav et Rivenu. That's enough. And you should know that the basic premise of that beracha is speaking about how Borei Olam always brings salvation and exacts revenge or vengeance on our enemies. He never lets the enemies off scot-free. He always takes care of them, which is what happened in Purim. In Purim, we got in a fight with the non-Jews, with the Persians. Borei Olam takes care of it. Nisim happened, and Borei Olam takes care of it. Now, Rava, he says something interesting. He adds off and said, Rava says, Ha'el HaMoshiach. Rava says that the beracha ends off by saying Ha'el HaMoshiach. Now, whether that means that he changed the whole beracha or just added that on at the end is a point of argument. But just for the sake of pashut understanding, Rava is coming to tell us that you have to add these words Ha'el HaMoshiach, which means the God who brings salvation. Rav Papa comes and says, Amar Rav Papa, Hilkach nimrinehu letarvayu. Therefore, you should say both. In other words, you should say the whole Harav Tivenu and then add Ha'el HaMoshiach. And he brings it up for us. Baruch Ata Hashem Hanifra LeYisrael Mikol Tzarahem Ha'el HaMoshiach. So you see, if you go back up here, sorry, not over there. If you go over here, Baruch Ata Hashem Hanifra LeYisrael Mikol Tzarehem, which was the first answer to the Gemara, we're just going to add the 2 words of Rava, Ha'el HaMoshiach, to the end. So Rav Papa answers that since we have these 2 rabbis that are giving different answers of how to end the beracha, therefore we add them both together and we make one nice beracha, because anyways it's all the same thing. It doesn't take away from the meaning of the verse, which is basically telling us that Borei Olam takes care of our enemies. Good luck on the quiz. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.